Discover how one billionaire's heartwarming whisper changed her life forever while dining alone. In the thrumming heart of downtown, surrounded by soaring skyscrapers and the buzzing energy of a thriving city, Sarah sat in a corner cafe, scrolling through the menu, her tired eyes barely registering the words. The flickering lights cast shadows on her face, revealing a mix of exhaustion and determination. With 2 jobs to juggle and a spirited 7-year-old daughter, Lily, to care for, every moment felt like a battle. Yet, she wore her struggles like armor, knowing that each sacrifice she made helped shape a brighter future for Lily. Little did she know that this evening would change everything. As she glanced up, caught in the claustrophobic atmosphere, her gaze met that of a man across the room. Mike, a charismatic billionaire philanthropist, was watching her with an intensity that sent a shiver down her spine. His piercing blue eyes held a warmth that cut through the crowd. He approached, a gentle smile playing on his lips, and, in that moment, Sarah felt the weight of the world lift just a fraction. "Mind if I join you?" he asked, gesturing to the empty chair. Sarah's heart raced as she nodded. As they began to talk, he leaned in closer, his voice soft but filled with a kind of power. He listened as she shared her struggles, the heart-wrenching challenges of being a single mother, working night shifts as a waitress and scrubbing office floors just to make ends meet. Mike's eyes sparkled with admiration. "Your story is one of resilience. You have to value yourself, Sarah, never forget that." His words wrapped around her like a warm blanket, igniting a flicker of hope, but just as quickly as that flame sparked, it began to flicker again. Days later, Sarah was crushed when she learned she was overlooked for a promotion she knew she deserved. It wasn't about her abilities or dedication, it was about her economic status. The injustice hit like a brick, leaving her feeling defeated yet igniting a fire deep within. She felt a visceral anger rising as she thought of all the battles fought, all the efforts made to rise above the circumstances that had held her family back for generations. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Fired up, she rallied her neighbors, uniting in a way that felt almost surreal. They formed a community of support, sharing their sorrows and dreams in the local park. Families from diverse backgrounds came together, each voice adding to a growing chorus of resilience. Every meeting brought them closer, their collective stories igniting flames of change, determination, and hope. However, it all culminated in a pivotal moment at the town hall meeting. As Sarah stood before the crowd, she felt the weight of not only her dreams but the dreams of her entire community. She looked back to where Lily sat, wide-eyed and full of hope, and it pushed her forward. Would she find the courage to voice their struggles? Her heart raced, and just before stepping onto the stage, she took a deep breath, ready to confront the very systems that silenced so many. This fight was far from over, but would it be enough to spark the change they desperately needed? As Sarah stood at the podium, her fingers gripped the edges tightly. The fluorescent lights above seemed to amplify her anxiety. She glanced past the microphone to the faces before her. Some were familiar, fellow neighbors she had laughed with and cried alongside. Others were strangers, waiting for her to voice the unkept promises hidden within their hearts. She swallowed hard, fighting the lump in her throat. "Thank you all for being here," she began, her voice shaky but steadying with each word. "We gather here not just for ourselves, but for our children, for our community, and for a future we believe can be different." The murmurs of agreement washed over her like a warm tide. Gaining courage, she continued, "I've stood where so many of you stand. I've felt the weight of disappointment when doors close because of who we are or what we don't have. But it doesn't have to be this way. Our stories matter. Our struggles matter." A ripple of applause sparked in the room, igniting something within her. Sarah's heart soared. With every voice raised in support, she felt further emboldened. I fought hard just to be heard. Every late night, every early morning, everything I do for my daughter is for love, and for change. But together, the door creaked open, and Mike entered the room. Their eyes locked, and for a moment, the words she had rehearsed meant nothing. It was just him. Those piercing blue eyes held the promise of something more, something hopeful. He approached slowly, slipping into the back of the room, his presence both warm and grounding. Taking a breath, she pressed on. But here's the deal. It's not just about me or any single voice. We need to stand together. We need to push for better opportunities, for better support, and for a system that doesn't just see us as statistics, but as people with potential. Each phrase resonated in the space, feeling more potent now that Mike was there, witnessing her transformation. He nodded encouragingly, and she drew strength from his unwavering support. As she spoke of community plans and the change they could bring, the crowd began to stir, voices rising in enthusiasm. We can start a community fund. We can create job opportunities for each other. But we can't do it alone. She scanned the faces again, and something in her ignited a storm of emotions. I need you all. Let this be the moment we no longer sit back quietly. Let us advocate for our rights and demand to be heard. The applause grew louder, clapping interspersed with cheers of yes. And let us do this. Their energy swelled like a living thing, wrapping around her, igniting not just hope but a fierce determination. But as the crowd erupted into a standing ovation, Sarah's heart fluttered. She could see Mike subtly raising his hand, and her breath caught. Excuse me. Can I add something? He stepped forward, drawing every eye in the hall. Sarah, I've been listening to you speak, and I see the fire in you, in all of you. Together, we can make a difference, but change takes resources. I'd like to help with the fund you're proposing. His voice rang with sincerity, resonating deep within the crowd. Conversations buzzed around them, excitement palpable. 100 thoughts cascaded in Sarah's mind. Could this be it? Was this the opportunity they craved? But beneath the thrill, uncertainty tugged at her heartstrings. What did it mean for her to accept help from someone so powerful? Could she still lead, or would she be tethered to his generosity? As the crowd cheered and calls for details erupted, Sarah stood frozen, her heart racing. It was a moment of truth for her dreams and what it meant to truly embrace community. The answer was right there at her fingertips, but she had to choose. Would she take that leap and accept his offer, or would she carve a path on her own, uncertain of where that would lead? The room buzzed with excitement, but Sarah felt as if time had slowed to a crawl. Mike's words hung in the air, a lifeline tossed into the sea of her uncertainties. Faces turned towards her, each one a canvas of hope and expectation. She glanced quickly at Mike. He was smiling softly, a face filled with genuine belief in her. Think about what we can do together, he said, breaking the silence that had enveloped her. His tone was gentle but steady, as if assuring her that she wasn't alone in this moment. Sarah's heartbeat thundered in her ears. Could she truly step back and let someone else into this tightly clutched vision she had of her community? As she surveyed the eager faces, she felt a flicker of realization. This had never been just about her. It was about all of them. But did accepting Mike's help mean losing her voice? She clenched her fists at the podium. Thank you, Mike. Your offer means the world to us, she started, her voice gaining strength. But it's not just about funding. It's about building a foundation of trust and unity, a place where everyone feels empowered to speak up and contribute. The crowd erupted in approval. Cheers echoed around her, and she could feel her confidence swell once more. Yes. That's it. Someone shouted from the back, and others chimed in, their voices creating a chorus of agreement. They were not just interested in handouts, they wanted a partnership, a journey together. Feeling more grounded, Sarah took another breath. We need transparency. We need to know that the funds will be used with community input. My vision is for us all to be the leaders of this initiative, not just a few of us." The crowd murmured in agreement. A sense of purpose coursed through her. They weren't just there to listen, they were ready to act. "Let us form a committee," she suggested, and people nodded enthusiastically. "We can brainstorm ideas, allocate resources, and host meetings for everyone to contribute their thoughts." The energy in the room pulsed. Sarah could see a shift in the crowd. They were ready to stand up for themselves, ready to take ownership of their future. The power of unity, once just a distant dream, began to take form. But just then, from the corner of her eye, Sarah noticed a flicker of hesitance cross Mike's face. Suddenly, her heart sank. What if he didn't agree with her vision? What if he had just wanted to swoop in with his wealth and take over? "Is that okay with you, Mike?" she asked, her voice softer now, both hopeful and uncertain. She could feel the room holding its breath, waiting for his response. He stepped forward, hands raised, as if to calm the building tension. "Absolutely, Sarah. I only want to support this community, and if that means stepping back to let you all lead this charge, I'm all in." His sincerity rang true, and the room erupted in applause once more, relief washing over her. As the cheers faded, she realized a new chapter was beginning, one where her voice could truly rise among many. But just as excitement bubbled up within her, a quiet panic crept in. Would people still trust her if she accepted Mike's help? Would they see her as a leader, or as someone handed an opportunity? As the noise around her settled, Sarah stared out at her neighbors, many of whom had been through the same struggles she had. And in that moment of vulnerability and exhilaration, she understood, vulnerability was strength. But as she stood there, torn between pride and fear, she couldn't shake the feeling that someone would always be watching. What would happen when the true test of loyalty emerged, not just for her, but for the whole community? The potential for glory loomed ahead, and Sarah felt it brush close, but could they all hold on to the dreams they'd begun to weave together? The meeting room began to clear, conversations swirling together like a summer storm. Sarah could still feel the energy pulsating around her, but beneath her excitement, a weight settled heavily in her chest. She had visions of celebrations, of shared success among community members, but what if that dream unraveled? Would Mike's involvement truly stay supportive, or would it shift everything she held dear? "Sarah, can I talk to you for a second?" Mike approached her, still smiling, yet there was an intensity in his eyes that made her pulse quicken. "Of course," she replied, forcing a smile, though her mind raced with what he might say next. They stepped aside into a quieter corner. "I loved what you said up there. You're really making a difference. But I want to make sure my role is clear. I'm here to facilitate, not control," he said, sincerity dripping from each word. "Thank you, Mike. I want this to be a joint effort. But I can't help but wonder, are there strings attached to this?" Her question slipped out before she could swallow it down. He shook his head, pressing his lips together. "You have my word. I want to see you lead. But you should know that not everyone will be on board with that." His words lingered, sending a chill through her. It was true, whispers of skepticism often lingered in corners, and those fears could grow even in the most supportive environments. How could she maintain this newfound trust and rally everyone together? Things are going to change, but change can spark fear. "I want you to be prepared for that," he cautioned. "I'm ready." Her voice was firm, anchored by the faces of the neighbors who believed in her. "If we stand united, we'll show them." A glimmer of pride in Mike's expression made her heart lift. But deep down, uncertainty tugged relentlessly at her heart. Would the doubts be insurmountable? It wasn't just about her, it was also about proving to everyone watching, those skeptical faces, the ones wishing for failures, that they were stronger together. As the night darkened outside the window, people trickled out, some patting her back, others voicing their plans for the committee. But behind the cheerful chatter, Sarah sensed a shadow looming. Would they all truly come together? Days turned into a week, the local newspaper buzzed with headlines about the new initiative she was leading, and the social media chatter roared with a mixture of excitement and criticism. Each notification pulled at her spirit, swinging between encouragement and reservations from the very community she wanted to uplift. Sarah pressed on, organizing meetings, gathering thoughts, but the whispers of doubt never quite left her mind. People on the sidelines began to question if she could be strong enough to navigate these new dynamics. "Did you really think you could do this alone?" a friend asked one evening. Sarah frowned, trying to mask the hurt. Accepting help is one thing, but giving up control? That's a slippery slope. As she lay in bed that night, the words tormented her. What if the community lost faith in her? What if she became a figurehead, a hollow leader? Tossing and turning, she finally sat up. The moonlight filtered through the window, illuminating the chaos of thoughts. She knew what she needed to do, but it felt daunting. Taking a deep breath, she resolved to set things right. It was time to reach out to connect, to listen, and to open the lines of communication wide in her corner of the world. If she could gather voices and hear their concerns, perhaps then they could build something stronger together. As she picked up her phone, fingers trembling, she knew this would not be a simple call. But the thoughts raced through her mind. What if sharing her fears opened a door for healing? The answer hung in the air, a delicate balance of vulnerability and strength. Would it bring them closer, or would she find that even trust could become an obstacle? The potential for both was palpable, and Sarah took a steadying breath, ready for what came next. The early morning light crept through Sarah's curtains, illuminating the mess of papers scattered across her desk. She blinked against the brightness, drawing in the sense of coffee and fresh beginnings. Today, she decided, would be different. With determination shaping every move, she picked up her phone. The screen lit up with a flood of notifications, but she set them aside. She had people to contact: her friends, her supporters, and even those who had expressed doubts. Each contact felt like uncharted territory, but she needed to bridge the gap. Taking a deep breath, she dialed her friend Kate first. There was a vulnerability in this choice, but she knew Kate had experience with community dynamics. It rang twice before she picked up. "Hey, Sarah. What's up?" Kate sounded bright, but Sarah could detect a hint of curiosity in her tone. "Hi, can we talk? I want to hear your thoughts on this initiative, and honestly, how you think I'm doing," Sarah said, her voice trembling with anticipation. "Of course. Let us meet at the coffee shop," Kate suggested. "I would love to catch up." "Great. See you in a bit." As Sarah arrived at the coffee shop, the familiar smells of roasted beans and baked pastries wrapped around her like a warm hug. She spotted Kate at a corner table, her laptop open and a steaming cup in front of her. "Hey." Kate's face broke into a grin as Sarah approached. "Thanks for meeting me," Sarah said, settling down and forcing a smile despite the butterflies churning in her stomach. "Always. So, what's on your mind?" Kate leaned in, her eyebrows raised in interest. "I've been feeling this pressure, you know. The initiative, the community, it all seems to be hanging on my shoulders. I'm worried about how people perceive me as a leader," Sarah began, her words pouring out like a dam breaking. "What if they think I'm not capable?" Kate listened intently, nodding. "You mean, you're afraid of being viewed as just a figurehead?" "Exactly. I want genuine engagement. I need help, but I don't want to seem weak or lose authority." Kate took a sip of her coffee, contemplating. "Sarah, asking for help doesn't mean you're weak. It shows strength. Leaders are not meant to do it all alone. You need to embrace your vulnerability. It can connect you with the community even more." Sarah felt the warmth of hope nudging her. But what if that leads to more doubts? Doubt can fuel growth. Embrace it. Some will always question you, but many will stand by you. They want to see your authenticity, Kate said, her voice steady. Inspired, Sarah responded, I think you're right. I need to share my fears with the community, let them see that I'm human, too. Maybe by doing that, it could draw us closer together. Absolutely. Kate exclaimed. You'll show them you're in this together, not above them. As they continued to talk, ideas flowed freely, sparking excitement in Sarah's heart. It felt freeing to share her ambitions and worries, transforming yesterday's burdens into today's stepping stones. After their meeting, Sarah walked home with a newfound energy. Her mind buzzed with ways to communicate openly, to invite collaboration. The morning sun bathed everything in a golden light, echoing her surge of positivity, but as she neared her front door, uncertainty loomed again. How would her honesty be received? Would they rally around her words, or would skepticism rise once more? With a shake of her head, Sarah began drafting a message to the community. Each word felt like a thread stitching them closer together. We are stronger together, she typed again and again, adjusting them, letting her heart guide the words. Still, an aching question lingered: what if her truth failed to resonate with them? As she hit send, the weight of uncertainty returned. Would they embrace her call for unity, or would she stand alone amidst the doubts? With her heart pounding in her chest, Sarah took a step back, bracing herself for the waves, whatever they may be, that were about to unfold. The evening stretched out before Sarah like a blank canvas, each tick of the clock echoing with her own racing thoughts. She had poured her heart out in that message, but now it felt like a stone thrown into an unseen pond, the ripples waiting to return with unknown intensity. As she paced her small living room, Sarah imagined the responses pouring in. Would someone agree with her? Would anyone stand up and support her vision? Doubt crept back in, wrapping around her heart like a heavy fog. She dropped onto the couch, biting her nails as she reached for her phone again. Just as she started scrolling through her social media feed, a notification popped up. Her heart leaped: an email from the community forum. She hesitated for a moment, her breath caught in her throat. Was she ready? Taking a deep breath, she opened the message. The first few words were from a familiar name: Tom, a longtime friend. I appreciate your honesty, Sarah. We all feel unsure sometimes. His words were gentle, supportive. As she read through the responses, an electrifying warmth unfurled in Sarah's chest. Some members shared their own fears and experiences. It felt like they were revealing pieces of themselves, laying down their own stones in the pond. The conversation began to open up, like a blooming flower, and she felt the collective strength building. A comment from Lisa, a local barista, caught her eye: your courage to speak up is inspiring. I thought I was the only one feeling this way. Let us meet up and see what we can do together. Sarah grinned, her earlier apprehension dissipating. With each reply, the tension in her shoulders eased a bit more. The community was leaning into her message instead of shying away. Hope began to nestle in her heart, tiny but fiercely igniting her spirit. Hours passed, and a stream of emails flickered across her screen. Ideas for meetings, suggestions for collaborative events, even offers to help spread the word about her initiative. She danced around her living room, laughing with the joy of connection, a sense of collective purpose forming like an unbreakable bond. Yet, despite the excitement, a small, niggling worry tugged at her thoughts. What if the initial enthusiasm faded? What would happen if, once everything settled back to normal, she found herself facing the same doubts alone again? Just then, her phone chimed again. This time, it was a message from Kate: let us gather a small group and brainstorm next steps. I think you have the spark that could light a fire under this community. The thought sent a thrill through her being. Here it was, the chance to lead with confidence and authenticity. She felt renewed energy ripple through her. Perhaps she could transform those deep-rooted fears into something promising and genuine. Before she could second-guess herself, Sarah typed back, absolutely. Let us do this. As she hit send, a sudden realization struck her. For the first time in a long while, she felt a sense of belonging, a sense of being exactly where she needed to be. The next days would demand her courage and determination, but she now knew she wasn't alone in this journey. There was strength in unity, and maybe, just maybe, the community was ready to embrace their shared vulnerabilities. The only question that remained was how far this spark would take them. As night fell, her heart raced, an exhilarating blend of fear and excitement flooding her senses. Would they truly ignite the change she envisioned together? Stepping out onto her porch, Sarah watched the stars appear one by one, each shining brightly against the deepening sky. In that moment, she felt a powerful whisper of possibility brushing against her soul. What awaited them could be life-changing for her and the community that had started to stand by her side. The next morning, the sun peeked through Sarah's curtains, spilling soft golden light across her bedroom. She woke up with a sense of anticipation dancing in her chest. Today would be the day they took a step forward. No more hiding, she thought as she sat up, brushing her unruly hair back from her face. After a quick breakfast, she pulled on a cozy sweater and jeans. The familiar weight of eagerness knotted her stomach as she pictured the faces of the small group she'd be meeting later that day. Each of them had shared pieces of their stories, pieces that carried the same thread of vulnerability she had opened up about. They were ready to tackle the fears that had once kept them stagnant. Stepping outside, the brisk air filled her lungs, invigorating her spirit. The world felt alive, a perfect reflection of the energy coursing through her. She headed to the local coffee shop, where the scent of freshly brewed coffee was both comforting and familiar. Lisa waved excitedly from a corner table, her hair a wild halo, eager to see her fellow passionate spirits. "Hey! You made it!" Lisa beamed, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Wouldn't miss it for the world," Sarah replied, a grin slipping onto her face. The tension of the previous night faded into something lighter. Soon, Kate arrived, bringing with her a contagious zest. "Guess what? I spoke to Mike from the community center," she announced, excitement bubbling over. "He's on board with helping us organize the first event." The three of them dove into a brainstorm, scribbling ideas on napkins, the excitement fueling each suggestion. They envisioned community cleanups, family-friendly gatherings, and workshops where they could explore their shared concerns. Each plan was met with cheers and laughter, and soon enough, the warm atmosphere of the shop felt like a miniature celebration of what was to come. But amid the thrill and laughter, another worry gnawed at Sarah. Was she truly fit to lead? What if her ideas fell flat? As if sensing the shift in her energy, Kate rested a hand on Sarah's arm. "You're doing this for the right reasons, Sarah. Remember what sparked all of this." A flood of memories rushed to her. That initial moment of vulnerability, the feeling of wanting more for her community, her own quiet sufferings. Each individual they reached would hopefully find their own spark, their own healing. Minutes turned into hours, and the small table was now littered with crumpled napkins and half-empty cups. They finalized a plan for their first community meeting, an informal gathering in the park, inviting anyone interested to share their thoughts and ideas. As they decided on the date, a buzz of energy filled the air, pushing them forward, the anticipation of transformation. "I can't believe it's really happening," Lisa exclaimed, her voice bubbling with hope. Just then, Sarah's phone buzzed again. She glanced down, her heart skipping a beat. The notification was from Tom. "I'll help spread the word." "When is that meeting?" His support fueled her desire to take their mission to the next level. They could make a difference, she realized. She could make a difference. As they wrapped up their meeting, Sarah felt a profound warmth in her heart. It was as if the universe was aligning, whispering promises of change. Despite her lingering fears, she knew one thing for certain: this was just the beginning. Would her newfound confidence hold firm when faced with the challenges ahead? She took a deep breath, determination fueling her resolve. They were ready to take that leap of faith together. Stepping outside the coffee shop, the sunlight seemed brighter, the world more vibrant. But as Sarah walked, doubts brushed against her thoughts like the soft autumn breeze. Would the community truly turn up? And even if they did, would this spark ignite into something meaningful or fizzle out under pressure? With those questions lingering, she headed home, the thrill of what they could achieve mixed with the weight of uncertainty. There would be no backing down now. Hope blossomed, and with it, an undeniable urge to push forward into the unknown, guided by the flickering light of possibility. What would they face at the meeting, and would those doubts transform into something beautiful or shatter her dreams? The next day dawned crisp and clear, but the clouds above seemed a reflection of the turmoil inside Sarah. She had tossed and turned all night, her mind racing with thoughts about the upcoming meeting. What if no one showed up? What if all her plans fell apart? Each fear felt like a weight pressing down on her chest. Pushing those thoughts aside, she reminded herself of the energy at the coffee shop. The excitement. The hope. Taking a deep breath, she dressed quickly, pulling on a comfortable jacket over her shirt. Today wasn't just about her, it was about everyone who had opened up and expressed their longing for connection and change. At the park, the trees swayed gently in the breeze, their vibrant leaves fluttering to the ground like colorful confetti. She arrived early, wanting to make sure everything was perfect. A picnic table was set near the playground, and the smell of fresh grass filled the air. It was the kind of place that encouraged openness, where laughter intertwined with the spirit of community. With every passing minute, Sarah's nerves clawed at her. She set up chairs, made sure the flyers were visible, and double-checked her notes. Glancing around, she couldn't shake off the dread creeping into her thoughts. Just then, she spotted Lisa briskly walking towards her, a big smile on her face. "Hey! Am I late? I'm so pumped!" Lisa exclaimed, pulling Sarah into a hug. "No, you're perfect on time. Just needed to get everything set up." Sarah's heart warmed at her friend's enthusiasm. "People will come, trust me," Lisa said, her confidence unwavering. "We've been talking about this for too long not to show up." More voices joined them soon. Kate arrived, lugging a cooler filled with snacks. One by one, familiar faces appeared, friends and acquaintances who had been touched by Sarah's call to action. The knot in her stomach began to loosen. As the designated meeting time approached, Sarah stood before them, a rush of adrenaline flooding her system. She could feel their eyes on her, waiting. It was time. "Thanks for being here, everyone. It means a lot," she began, her voice steady despite the fluttering in her chest. "We all have something to say, and today is about sharing those thoughts and building something together." A ripple of applause broke out, rekindling her spirit. The park echoed with laughter and chatter, and for a moment, amidst the smiles and warm exchanges, Sarah felt a sense of belonging. An older man stood up, sharing stories of how the community used to gather for festivals and events that had been forgotten. A young mother chimed in about wanting a safe space for her children to play. Little by little, their ideas morphed into an enthusiastic discussion on how to create a more connected community, yet, in the back of her mind, something nagged at Sarah. The fear of failure lingered. What if their dreams never materialized? What if all they built fell apart? When it was her turn to share, she took a deep breath, channeling the passion in the air. "We have so many ideas, but we can't do it alone." Partway through her thoughts, Tom stepped forward. "What if we all commit to helping in some way? Everyone has something to contribute." His words seemed to ignite a spark in the crowd, encouragement buzzed in the air. Sarah's heart swelled with hope. What if they truly could pull this off? Then, a woman in the back raised her hand. "What happens if it doesn't work?" Her question cut to the core. Silence blanketed the group. Sarah's mind churned, grappling for an answer that could quell the growing doubt spilling into the gathering. But before she could respond, she felt the warmth of shared emotions around her, grounding her. This wasn't just about success or failure, it was about connection. "We'll learn together," she finally said, her voice quieter yet filled with a firm resolve. "This is just the beginning. We rise together or we stumble together, but we don't walk alone." The room buzzed with affirmations. As they shared laughter and forged alliances, she realized they were already becoming what they had set out to be: a community, no matter the outcome. The meeting transformed into an exhilarating brainstorm battered with enthusiasm, but Sarah couldn't shake the weight of the woman's question. It lingered, blooming into the deepest fear that perhaps her leadership itself was the fragile thread tying them all together. With the echoes of laughter around her, another thought emerged: what if their strength together was far greater than she ever anticipated? As the sun dipped below the horizon, coloring the sky with hues of orange and purple, the atmosphere sparkled with potential. Yet, Sarah's heart raced with uncertainty. Could she lead them through the unpredictable tides ahead? Would the budding hope withstand the trials just beyond the horizon? The following week saw the energy shift within the community. After the meeting, the buzz of excitement had been contagious. Ideas began to sprout like the flowers blooming in May, filling the air with promises of gatherings and shared commitments. Yet, as Sarah moved through the streets, she couldn't help but feel that same uncertainty gnawing at her. She had suggested regular meetups, community projects, and open forums to keep the momentum alive. Each night, she stayed up late crafting emails and posts, rallying her neighbors together, though doubt shadowed her every step. Were they really ready to take action? Or was this all just fleeting enthusiasm, like the beautiful blossoms that would fade with the summer heat? One sunny afternoon, as Sarah prepared lunch, a soft knock interrupted her thoughts. It was Lisa, a spark in her eyes that immediately ignited a flicker of hope in Sarah. Guess what? Lisa bounced on her toes, practically bursting with excitement. I've got a surprise for you. What is it? Sarah tried to play it cool, but she couldn't hide her curiosity. I've organized a community cleanup day. Just a couple of hours this weekend. A little effort to spruce up the park. Lisa grinned. I talked to a few neighbors, and they're all in. Sarah's heart raced, but the nagging doubt still lingered. Will they really show up? I mean, the idea sounds great, but look, Sarah, it's not just about cleaning. It's about coming together, about proving we can make a difference. I believe in this and you. People want to connect. You need to trust that. Taking a deep breath, Sarah found a smile creeping onto her face. Okay, let us do this. The day arrived, bright and sunny, with laughter and chatter echoing through the park as families and friends gathered, ready to roll up their sleeves. Sarah stood at the edge of the park, watching as people with different stories and backgrounds joined together for a common purpose. As they started picking up litter and planting flowers, something magical began to happen. Strangers introduced themselves, sharing stories of their lives. They leaned in, laughing and connecting through the sweat of their brows and the dirt on their hands. Sarah felt a sense of pride swelling within her. This was the community she had envisioned, but as the day rolled on, Sarah noticed a familiar face among the crowd. It was the woman who had raised that challenging question at the meeting. Her name was Betty. She seemed hesitant, unsure among the clamor, lingering on the fringes. Sensing her uncertainty, Sarah approached. Hey, I'm so glad you came. Betty looked up, her expression softening. I came to see if it was real, if people really cared. It's real, Sarah affirmed, a swell of emotion in her chest. Today is a start. For all of us. Betty nodded, a small smile breaking through. They stood together, with the laughter around them mingling with the chirps of birds overhead. Slowly, she began to move closer to the others, a sense of belonging lighting up her face. As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the park, Sarah felt what she had dreamed was finally within reach. She could almost taste the sense of community that enveloped her. But just as she exhaled the accumulated tension, her phone buzzed. A message from a local news station flashed on her screen. We'd like to cover the cleanup event. Can you spare a moment? Her breath hitched in her throat. This was the opportunity she hadn't planned for. What if it put her under the spotlight? What if she couldn't handle the pressure? As she looked around at the gathered community, a wave of determination washed over her. But what if, in that moment, with the camera's eye on her, everything changed? What if she stepped into that light and faltered? Sarah took a step back, hesitant to respond. With the eyes of her community on her, she grappled with the weight of her upcoming decision. Could she accept this public challenge, or would her fears pull her back into darkness? The choice hung heavy in the air, and with it, the uncertain future loomed. What awaited her on the other side of the camera? As Sarah stood in the park, watching the community come together, she felt a sense of transformation wash over her. The laughter, the chatter, the smiles, this was what she had hoped for, dreamed of, and fought for. It reinforced her belief that they could create change, one small step at a time, but then came the tremor of anxiety. What if stepping into the spotlight jeopardized everything? She could still feel the weight of the question Betty had asked, what if it didn't work? The fear twisted around her, binding her like a chain. But then, she caught a glimpse of Lily, her daughter, playing with newfound friends. Her heart swelled. Would she not want her daughter to see her mother lead, to understand what it meant to stand up for something greater? Taking a deep breath, Sarah made a decision. She looked up at the sky, feeling a rush of courage. If not now, when? She thought. Gripping her phone, she pressed reply. Yes. Let us do this. Within moments, a reporter approached her, microphone in hand, eyes bright with enthusiasm. Thank you so much for agreeing to this. Can you tell us what today means for you and the community? Her heart raced, but as she opened her mouth, her fears began to dissipate. Today is about reclaiming our power. It's a celebration of coming together and fostering change in our neighborhood, she spoke with conviction. As she articulated her thoughts, she noticed the crowd behind her leaning in, nodding in agreement. Each face was filled with hope and pride. Encouraged, she continued, this cleanup is just the start. It shows that we care about our home and one another. Together, we can build a future where our voices are heard, where we support one another, and where our community thrives. Applause erupted, ringing through the trees, blending with the soft rustle of leaves in the breeze. It was as if the very air itself had shifted in that moment, solidifying the bond they formed. Sarah's fears began to fade away, replaced with exhilaration. This was her community, her family. Soon, the interview wrapped up, and the crowd surged forth, excitement bubbling over. Friends and families lingered, sharing stories and ideas, their sound resembling the music of a celebratory festival. Sarah beamed, enveloped in the joy of connection. Later that night, as she tucked Lily into bed, Sarah felt a sense of accomplishment. "Mom, you were so brave today," Lily exclaimed, her eyes glistening. "Did the news get to see how amazing you are?" Sarah's heart swelled with pride, but beyond that, she felt her resolve strengthen. "Sweetheart, it wasn't just me. It was all of us. And this is just the beginning. We're going to do great things together." As she kissed Lily goodnight, she made a silent promise to herself and her community. She would be there for them, heart wide open, leading with honesty and strength. The dawn came with renewed energy, and as Sarah walked through the neighborhood, she noticed the ripple effect of change. People smiled and waved, their hearts echoing her own journey. There were plans forming for new community events, small teams springing up to work on various projects, and whispers of support for Sarah's leadership. What had once felt like a struggle began to feel like a shared adventure. Days turned into weeks, and soon the community center Michelle had envisioned opened its doors, where people gathered not just to receive aid but to give their input and collaborate. Mike had kept his promise to support, but Sarah had ensured the community's voice stayed at the forefront. But the most significant change was within her. Sarah embraced vulnerability as strength rather than a weakness. In acknowledging her fears, she had transformed them into fuel. Together with her neighbors, they were forging a path filled with possibilities and dreams. Looking out over the vibrant gatherings in the park, at the laughter echoing around her, and the collective hopes of everyone she had come to love, Sarah felt a warm glow envelop her. This wasn't just about leadership anymore, it was about family, community, and the remarkable. Power of shared determination. With a smile on her face, Sarah understood the journey was only just beginning, and its beauty lay in the connections forged along the way. Together, they were unstoppable. Now, as you reflect on Sarah's journey, embrace your own potential and dreams. Remember, you have the power to create change, for yourself and for those around you. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that inspire change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the motivation flowing. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. You need to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share.